This chemical pathway keeps you alive every day, turning food into fuel. And yet, it looks like it was designed by a madman without a care for efficiency. Well, or your brain's capacity for memory. But hidden in this clunky, scary pathway is one of the most clever tricks life has ever pulled. It already starts with the first few steps, when glucose is turned into fructose. But why would life bother with that detour? Why not just use glucose directly? Well, in fact, why do pathways in biochemistry have this many steps at all? And why not just have a furnace in the cell to burn fuel? Solving this seemingly paradoxical design of life reveals the heart, the essence of biochemistry. Chemistry sets the rules, but life finds a way. But our story starts more simply. Just glucose turning into fructose. If we want to answer why this is, we have to ask, well, what role does this conversion play in the whole pathway? It's rather subtle, so let's begin with explaining what this pathway actually does, and you might see clues emerge from the details along the way. The point of this pathway, glycolysis, is to produce ATP, the energy currency of the cell, and another special chemical called pyruvate. And it has many uses. One of them is to go on and make even more ATP. So, this is an essential pathways for cells to have. But before we begin, these organic chemistry drawings are a little bit too detailed for this chapter, so to make things easier for the eyes, I'm going to represent these molecules using their number of carbons instead. So, here's how glycolysis does its magic. First, some ATP is invested into the first few steps while turning glucose into fructose. These glowy pink things are phosphates, and they come from ATP's adenosine triphosphates. Then, fructose gets split up into two smaller molecules. They might look the same. They have the same number of carbons, but they're chemically different. That is an important detail for later. At this stage, one converts into the other and goes on to the third step. In the third step, each molecule yields 2 ATPs. So, here's the crucial part. One fructose gives 2 molecules. So, if you run one of the molecules through the third step, you get 2 ATPs. But take the other one and convert it and run it again, and you have 4 total ATPs. So, all in all, we invested 2 ATPs and 4 came out. So a net profit of 2 ATPs, making glycolysis worthwhile to even do in the first place. And that may have just sounded like trivia, but this little bit here has everything to do with why the cell bothers to convert glucose into fructose. Let me explain myself. So, I'd like you to put yourself in the shoes of an early form of life that's in the process of evolving glycolysis. This way, we'll have a broader perspective of things. So, let's explore some other designs that might have existed. Imagine that for some reason, the middle molecules can't interconvert between themselves. Sounds small, but by this time, you might have caught on that the little details in biochemistry are what make or break systems. So, the consequence of this change is that one of the molecules don't get used. And so, only 2 ATPs are generated. But we've already put in 2 ATPs in the previous stage. So if we do the math, last time I checked, 2 minus 2 is 0. So that defeats the whole point of glycolysis, doesn't it? That means any organism that does this will get outcompeted to ashes. So, if they come with this defect, then they better patch it up in some way, by having another branch of metabolism, for instance. So, now you get extra ATPs back from the extra molecule. And great, this gives our profits back. But again, this subtle change also comes with a hidden cost. Each of these chemical reaction steps, if left to their own devices, can take hours to years to happen on their own. So, in fact, these steps are catalyzed using enzymes. They're little molecular machines that put chemicals together in the right place so they react faster. Each step added means one extra enzyme is added. And enzymes are usually proteins, and those take energy and resources to synthesize. So, this hypothetical organism will also get outcompeted to ashes. And now you know why it's so important that this middle step is the way that it is. But don't take my word for it, nature has over-optimized this enzyme to the extent where it's only limited by how fast the materials can get to the enzyme, not the internal mechanism of the enzyme itself. And now comes the climax. All of the above is even possible because glucose was converted into fructose. And it has to do with this little detail that has been staring at us for a while now. The number of carbons of these molecules. If the molecules of fructose were split into, say, 2 and 4 carbons instead of 3 and 3, you'd be limited by the carbon's organic chemistry reactions. Adding or taking away carbons is really tricky. And if it's tricky, you need extra enzymes. So, what makes fructose so special? It's this little chemical motif on fructose here. It makes the bond favorable to be cut. And don't worry, we'll get back to this favorability thing in the middle of the series. This effectively acts like a marker, don't you think? And it cuts fructose into 3 and 3, just like we see normally. But if this were glucose, the cut will be split into 2 and 4 instead of 3s, leading us to an organism with inefficient glycolysis. And this little detail, this little chink in the armor of fructose's chemistry, was cleverly used by life and created something highly efficient. Like I said, chemistry sets the rules, but life finds a way. And this story of glycolysis is simply a microcosm into the way biochemistry is. But in practice, we'd usually get pretty cynical and memorize all of these subtle details and bring them into the exam room. I've personally sometimes felt overwhelmed and cynical by all of this too. But when that inevitably happens, time and time again, I still come back to biochemistry feeling fascinated, because each step is a reflection of how life found its way through the near insurmountable force of chemistry. And so can you, through your biochemistry endeavors and beyond. Welcome to the Essence of Biochemistry. Next time, we'll delve into how life knows how to put itself together, how those megastructures seemingly construct themselves out of thin air. It's going to be available on my Patreon by the end of this week. Speaking of which, if you want to help me make more videos like these possible, consider joining my Patreon. It's just 2 people making all of this, the writing, the research, the animation, everything, and Patreon is how I can keep doing this sustainably, while also making each episode the best it can be. You'll get behind-the-scenes updates, early access, stickers of the cute little NanoRooms mascot, post-credit shoutouts, and my deepest thanks for helping build something I wish I had when I was learning this stuff. Whether you choose to support me or not, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this series helps you see biochemistry in a whole new way.